Hello, and welcome to Voices Unleashed, in which we celebrate voices and their influence on our community and beyond. My name is Alexandra Babel, and I am honored to be the host of this show. I'm so appreciative to Now Media for this opportunity. Today we have a fabulously exciting young musician, Chantel Pauliette. Welcome, Chantel.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm delighted to have you. I've chosen you for this week's episode because I am impressed and inspired by your story. And I know that you are eager to share your story with others and also be a help to others if you can. We've had a moment or two to talk about it, and I'm excited to present this to our public today. So, first of all, how did we meet?
Oh, I had the most wonderful band teacher in high school, and I reached out to him this year when I was looking to get back into singing more trained, like from a more trained perspective, and I reached out to him and he got me in contact with you. Turns out you had seen me before at one of those high school performances.
That's right. We did a few workshops together.
Yeah.
I think you're referring to Peter DeRoche. Well, shout out to Peter. You are an amazing educator and you've influenced so many young people throughout the decades. And here we have an example of the investment of your work, Peter. Thank you so much. And so you are really interested in singing because you have something to say, and I love that. But before we get into all of that, where did it all start for you?
As a kid, I would always kind of make up little songs and sing, and I did enjoy it. And I think in the 4th grade, my parents bought me a keyboard for Christmas. And I started to, kind of noodle around on it. And a few months later, we were at a restaurant and there was a piano there. And I started to play the piano and my parents were absolutely shocked because they thought I was like pressing play on the songs on the keyboard and playing them or like pretending to play. And turns out I was actually playing them. So
wow.
They threw me into piano lessons, and about 8 months later, I was doing grade 6 Royal Conservatory at the Kiwanis, and I placed second. So that's kind of where I got my little skill there.
You got your start.
Yeah, I can pick up most instruments and play them.
They're just a natural talent. Were there particular artists that inspired you and gave you that idea that, oh my gosh, I want to do this too?
I really enjoyed Avril Lavigne
of course.
Up, and I remember watching Phantom of the Opera in the 6th grade, and then that got me started in a bit of musical theater as well.
Of course. I love that.
And just like a lot of classical composers, I really enjoy.
Beautiful. I think you have a real rounded appreciation for lots of different genres of music. Mm-hmm. And then you had this glorious voice. When I went in and did the choir workshop at the high school, I remember your voice and didn't realize that when you reached out to me more recently that this is the voice that I get to work with. I'm so excited. Yeah. But I know, and you have shared with me and also have expressed to me an interest in sharing with others some of the hurdles that you've gone through, some of the beginnings in your life that made it a little more challenging to step up into this place of expression. So tell us a little bit about your story and as much or as little as you want to share that might inspire others.
Yeah, so growing up, there was a bit of unstable behavior in my household. And music was my outlet for all the kind of difficult stuff until I tried substances for the first time. And as I slowly became more addicted, I stopped showing up for my commitments in music. And eventually all I wanted to do was like not be sober.
Oh, I get it. And it's not really what we're doing, it's mostly what is it that we're trying to self-medicate, and absolutely no judgment in that. You and I both have so many acquaintances that are going through that right now. And I understand how music can be a solace and how that need to escape, especially if there's childhood trauma, how important it is to find a way to make it. And as children, we find ways to cope, but those ways of coping don't necessarily serve us as we become adults. And so those ways of coping, you got to a point, of course, where it's impossible to cope because it has a downward spiral. I understand that completely. And so when I think about music myself, as a little one, I did the same thing. I looked into music as a way of finding escape from whatever was around me. I get it. And when we get into these situations, we are so in need of help. It's almost impossible to find our way out all by ourselves. So how did you find help?
I mean, I looked at my life and I realized that this wasn't the way that I wanted to be living. I felt so distant from the person that I wanted to be or who I thought I was, and I just couldn't tolerate like the pain I caused people and just the erratic behavior. It was almost like a gift of desperation where I sought out recovery, and I didn't get it at first. Like I've been trying to get sober since about like 2020, like actually being successful and staying relatively clean, but I would kind of relapse here and there, and I still felt like an addict, but I was just not using, and something just kind of finally stuck in August of 2023, and I've managed to be clean since then, clean and sober. And what do you know, the musical spark returned.
Of course.
Yeah, I spent years unable to write music anymore, and when I would sing, sometimes I'd cry, or like I would just have to be under the influence to even enjoy music. And I started to write again. And
I think that our episode today is very well titled, Revoiced. I feel the devoicing of addiction and the revoicing of you being so strong and so tenacious. And of course, it takes more than one effort to get there and to continue and find this freedom and joy in your voice. And then I understand that your music now speaks to this. A lot of your music is a narrative about your own journey. And tell us a little bit about how you write your music and what inspires you.
It usually comes when I start to get big emotions about certain situations or experiences or thoughts, and I'll just sit down at the piano and it just sort of spills out of me. And a lot of it are very kind of deep, haunting themes and reflection, like some like regret, a lot of just kind of the big emotions, but there's also glimmers of hope now. And
I love that.
Yeah, I do try to write, because generally I have a more like positive outlook now, but it took a lot of years of learning to be nice to myself after I wasn't so nice to people. And I'm just so grateful to like have made it. And I used to really hate a lot of the old parts of myself, and now I've learned to accept them as they are. And it's easier when I'm no longer that person, I'd say.
Beautiful.
Maybe it still kind of exists in me, but I don't act on it anymore.
And you have that part of you to relate to others who are struggling. You and I both have friends who are struggling, and acquaintances and people that we love who are struggling. So it's a hand up with your music and with who you are to see them also begin to be revoiced and to begin to love their life again. That is amazing. Now, this music that we're talking about, I know that our audience has an opportunity to hear it soon. Tell us about your upcoming concert.
Right. So I had the first pleasure of doing last year at Naked Cafe, and it was a full house, and I shared the songs I had written in my first year of recovery. And now this year, I have a whole brand new set, unheard songs, no repeats from last year. And as much as I love Naked Cafe, we'll do a bit bigger of a venue this year at St. Michael's All Angel and Cathedral down on 608 Sutherland.
That's right, 608 Sutherland, yep.
And it's just such a beautiful venue there.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
sang there before with other like choral groups, and
Yes.
it's just so beautiful, especially when it's golden hour and the sun's going.
Of course.
But,
That's lovely.
yeah,
So
it'll
what's the
be
date of that?
August 9th.
August
and the
9th.
doors open at 7.
Doors open at 7.
I have my lovely friend Lisa B opening. She opened for me last year, and she is also in recovery and has got her music back too.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a little involved in some way or another. We got a
Yes.
surprise at the end of the show, don't we? We won't give it away. So August 9th at the Cathedral of St. Mike's and All Angels at 608 Sutherland. Before that, though, I understand that you've been accepted to a workshop of early music and vocalizations and stylizations of Baroque music, which that's really early music, the 1500 something to late 1600s. Don't quote me on that. But I also understand that you got a scholarship to participate in that based on merit. And good for you. Congratulations on that. That's really neat to say. So that's in association with the Kelowna Community Music School. And the two instructors will be one of our guests in the past in this show, Danielle LaGuardia, and myself, accompanied by Graham Vink. And the weekend is July 18th, 19th, and 20th, and culminates in a concert on the 20th at the same venue. In that case, it's entrance by donation, and you will hear this lovely voice along with many others singing early and Baroque music. It's a very specific kind of singing and particularly beautiful. You'll be able to hear Danielle, the wonderful countertenor, and these other voices, and of course, Chantal. Thank you so much. Is there anything else your audience needs to know about you?
No, I think that is all. I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
Of
Thank
course. How can they reach you?
I do have an Instagram.
Great. That's great. Give us your Instagram.
It's Atom Heart Princess.
So
like,
ATOM, Atom Heart Princess.
Yeah, it's a play on Pink Floyd's Atom Heart Mother album.
Ooh, I do like that. I do like that. Atom Heart Princess. Okay, Chantal, thank you so much. And thank you to our wonderful producer, RJ, and Now Media. And on behalf of all of us here, thank you so much, audience, for watching Voices Unleashed. I'm just having so much fun doing these series, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.